And we've got a brand new episode of Okaloosa Eye on Crime, which means you've got brand new opportunities to earn a cash reward if you can help local law enforcement find some of the people that are wanted that we're going to profile today.
That's right. And this month, our high-profile cases range from a cold case disappearance to a Fort Walton Beach area murder. And let's go ahead and get started with those cases. First up, the Walton County Sheriff's Office is asking for any information regarding the disappearance of Jackie Lee Bun McWaters back in 2006. The then 33-year-old was last seen in July of that year in the area of Martin Luther King Boulevard up in Crestview. McWaters is 5 foot 4 inches tall with blonde hair and gray hazel eyes. Anyone with information can contact the Walton County Sheriff's Office, or of course you can contact Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers 100% anonymously.
Up next, the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office continues investigating the shooting death of a Fort Walton Beach area man that took place in the very early morning hours of June 24, 2015. Deputies responded to 39-year-old Jimmy Lee Dodd's mobile home on Marty Lane about 5:30 in the morning after another resident placed a 911 call for help. Dodd's body was located outside the trailer, and investigators say he had been shot multiple times.
And this next one is one that we're never going to ever give up on. It's been nearly 21 years since the death of Michelle Shelley Metters, and the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office is still asking for information which might help solve the case. Now, 15-year-old Shelley Metters was one of 3 girls standing on the eastbound sidewalk of U.S. Highway 98 in Destin there near the Big Kahuna's Water Park. On the evening of August 10th back in 2002, a vehicle struck 2 of the girls as they stood on the sidewalk. It then continued eastbound without stopping. The driver did not call or try to render any aid. Now, a 15-year-old friend of Shelley's received serious injuries as a result of the crash, and unfortunately, Shelley was killed. The case still remains open, so far unsolved. And solving this case would bring closure to a family that's been grieving for more than 2 decades over the death of their daughter and sister. So anyone with any information, no matter how small you think it might be, you can contact Crime Stoppers.
Never give up hope. And we've got another ongoing mystery that would like to see solved, and this one involves Christy Rogers, who's been missing ever since she returned home from her boyfriend's house around 5:30 in the morning on Saturday, August 2nd, 1997. At the time of her disappearance, Rogers, then 16, was living with her mom by the overpass on Walnut Street in Crestview. Extensive searches by local investigators turned up nothing, and the only evidence found was clothing and a key ring belonging to Christy that was found behind the old Winn-Dixie in Crestview. So investigators remain hopeful someone out there's got some information about what happened to Christy, and if you do, please contact Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers. You can do it anonymously. You never have to give your name.
And our last case on the list is Walton County Sheriff's Office is trying to identify a pair of business burglars. They're hoping someone might recognize these two. Reference a burglary that occurred to a beach bar and grill out on Scenic Gulf Drive in Miramar Beach back on June 7th of this year. If you have any information about the identity of those two, you can contact Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers. Remember, you can call 863-TIPS. Visit us at emeraldcoastcrimestoppers.com, or we have the P3 TIPS mobile app. And we want to talk about some success stories that we had in June. Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers, we had 96 tips, which led to 5 arrests and 7 cases cleared for local law enforcement. Our board of directors approved $2,800 in rewards, and we had a tip that led to the arrest of a Tefuniak Springs man for 37 counts. That's 37 counts of electronic transmission of child pornography and possession of child pornography. We also had a tip that led to the arrest of a Fort Walton Beach man with 4 active felony warrants, including a warrant for negligent vehicular homicide. So,
wow,
some pretty good statistics. Busy month for our board of directors.
Yes, and thank you to those tipsters. Those are big cases.
Yes.
Next up, on March 1st and 2nd of 2023, the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office, in conjunction with the Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulation, conducted a sting operation, and it focused on unlicensed contractor activity. DBPR researched unlicensed contractors advertising services that require a state license.
Now, a DBPR investigator posed as a homeowner and interacted with contractors who had agreed to come and give an estimate on work. As a result of the investigation, 6 area unlicensed contractors are now facing charges. The Okaloosa County Department of Growth Management also assisted in the investigation.
So we worked together with Department of Business and Professional Regulation as a joint task force. Sometimes we use the Department of Insurance and Fraud and Workers' Comp to work on those side of things as well. This particular operation was a smaller one. We ended up arresting 6 people, and they actually were from all over the circuit. So all the way from Pensacola, Milton, Navarre, all the way to Defuniak Springs, we had different people that were arrested in this operation. But we just wanted to try and get the word out to educate the citizens, to make sure it doesn't take but a few minutes to make sure that your contractor that you use is licensed and insured. The old adage, one bad apple spoils a bunch, it really does give a bad name to all the great contractors that we have in this community that are doing it the right way, that are licensed and not violating the law, and that they are qualified and skilled to do your construction work, and we just encourage you to use those individuals.
Now, to check out whether or not your contractor is legitimate, it's pretty easy. Just go to myfloridalicense.com, and that website will provide the assistance that you need.
And now we want to talk about a new initiative here that we've done with Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers. That is our cold case playing cards that we recently distributed in both the Okaloosa and Walton County jails. And these cards are special because they have victims' images and information about a crime, not only just homicides, but missing persons, hit and run, unsolved crimes from decades ago, some of them decades old, and just shows that they're never really cold cases if we can keep them in the spotlight. And of course, we know that information tends to flow in our correctional facilities, so we're hoping that somebody out there might have information and we can put these cards out and just get people talking about these cases and just remind people that we haven't forgotten about them and we never give up.
And it's a really creative way to get the word out and keep it in front of people all the time because they're using the cards.
They are.
So they're constantly seeing the pictures and
it
the
was
info.
Actually funded through the Season of Justice, which is a nonprofit organization that does this around the country, actually. So
Yeah.
we were lucky to be awarded a grant, and we're looking forward to probably doing some more cards.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Love it.
So.
Okay, next up we're going to go down our list of people that are wanted as of today's taping date, and that is July 27th, 2023. First up is Timothy Tyler Turner. He's wanted for felony sexual battery and lewd and lascivious molestation, and Turner was last known to live on Red Barrow Road in Baker.
21-year-old Stephen Alexander Jameson was last known to live on Indian Trail in Crestview. He's wanted for felony order revoking bond for sexual assault as well as child abuse.
We can say goodbye to Darius Tyrell Wingate because he has been found since our last show.
But we're still looking for 39-year-old Clint Wayne Covey for failure to appear for 2 counts of battery on an officer or a firefighter.
Oh, we also say goodbye to Glenn Albert Pope Jr. because Pope Jr. has also been located since the last show.
Deputies are looking for 34-year-old Ann Margaret Mary Marsh for failure to appear for theft as well as elderly abuse, last known to live on Madeline's Path in Fort Walton Beach.
And Jiran Michael McCoy is wanted for violation of probation on a charge of burglary and a charge of grand theft.
Next up is Oswaldo Avalos Camacho, 24-year-old, wanted for felony failure to appear for aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, last known to live on Williams Court in Fort Walton Beach.
Next case, the Walton County Sheriff's Office is looking for Paul Robert Douglas Howell. He's 39 years old, and Howell's wanted for felony burglary and grand theft. His last known address was on Jonquil Avenue in Defuniak Springs.
Back to Okaloosa County, there's Keith Allen Oglesby tenure, wanted for felony violation of probation for battery on a person 65 or older, last known to live on Playground Road in Fort Walton Beach.
And you can contact Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers if you know where to find Casey Scott Dishmond. He's wanted for felony failure to appear for resisting arrest without violence, possession of a controlled substance, that is, with intent to sell, as well as other narcotics charges.
Donald Joe Mitchell is wanted for DUI and driving while license suspended or revoked, last known to live in Navarre.
Tad Keith Bowers is up next. He's wanted for VOP on an original charge of child neglect.
And another one we can remove is Clifton Ray Edwards.
And here's a crime we don't see on here too often, but Zachary Lee Dalton is wanted for arson.
And wrapping up our first list is Christian Devontae Nix. He's 22 years old. He's wanted for felony failure to appear for fleeing and eluding law enforcement, operating a vehicle without a license, and destroying evidence, last known to live on 4th Avenue in Shalimar.
And this next program we're going to highlight is actually pretty neat. OCSO first responders offer a program, it's called SAFE, and it's designed to boost the level of care and service provided when they encounter an individual with autism or any type of communication disorder in an emergency situation.
This decal is small, but it's powerful. If you have a loved one with dementia, autism, or any communication challenge, we need you to slap one of these free decals on the cars they ride in or on the front door of their home. We call it the SAFE program. When a first responder in any emergency situation spots one of these decals, he or she knows someone involved may need special care. It's our way of giving the best possible service. Enrolling is free and easy. Just go to our website and enroll in SAFE.
You can go to sheriff-okaloosa.org and find the SAFE link to sign up and get your decals.
A lot of people are going to be taking advantage of that.
Sure will. Now we're going to start our next list of fugitives we're hoping you can help us track down. First up is a new one to the show. That's Ryan Allen Peterson. He's 38. He's wanted for felony battery, last known to live on Flamingo Road in Crestview.
Brennan Shane Dickinson is wanted for felony possession of a weapon or ammo by a convicted felon, burglary, larceny, and VOP, last known address Harmony Lane in Crestview.
52-year-old Angela Dawn Tripp, last known to live on Crown Creek Circle in Crestview. She's wanted for failure to appear for exploitation of elderly.
And now we have Dara Suzanne Giancola, wanted for felony failure to appear for leaving the scene of an accident with DUI with injury or property damage, as well as bribery of a public official and resisting arrest without violence.
Next up is Scott Daniel Sconyers. He's wanted for violation of probation for DUI and fleeing and eluding, last known to live out in Destin.
Well, Anthony Fideli's been on the list for a while. He is wanted for VOP for grand theft, trafficking in stolen property, and providing false information to a pawnbroker. Fideli's last known address was in Fort Walton Beach.
And we don't have a photo for Brandon Dalton West, but he's 32 years old and he's being sought for sexual assault.
And this is Ricky Ramsey. Ramsey's wanted for felony burglary with assault. Last known address was on Shrewsbury Road in Mary Esther.
Sean Evan Ethier is wanted for felony lewd and lascivious behavior and non-payment of child support.
And law enforcement is still looking for Alyssa Victoria Hibberts. She's wanted for VOP for child neglect and possession of cocaine.
And yet another one that we've located since our last show, that's Janelle Eileen Navarro.
And this is J. William Shutter. He's 80 years old and he's wanted for felony child neglect.
33-year-old Jose Alberto Hernandez Cruz is wanted for failure to appear for DUI and 2 counts of child neglect. Last known address was on Airport Road in Destin.
And the Walton County Sheriff's Office is trying to locate Kelly Lynn Abbott. She's 53 years old and she's wanted for felony grand theft and contracting without a license.
Back to Okaloosa County, Cheyenne Lee Gentry is 28 and she's wanted for violation of probation for possession of methamphetamine, last known to live on Oak Terrace Drive in Crestview.
And we are on a roll with these located since last shows because Kishon Dinoshki Campbell is just that.
But we're still looking for 63-year-old James Clinton Brinkley Jr. for violation of probation for battery, last known to live in Pensacola.
And moving on to some good news, we have some major congratulations going out to one of the latest hometown heroes honored at the Harbor Walk Village celebrations that take place in Destin. Crestview High School Resource Officer Deputy Mark Kane was a July honoree.
Deputy Kane is the OCSO School Resource Officer of the Year for 2022, named for his outstanding work as not just a protector of his students and faculty, but as a trusted mentor, always steering his students toward success.
Even as a courtside observer, Deputy Mark Kane is in protective mode over his more than 2,300 students at Crestview High School. Being a proactive school resource officer is his mantra, but transitioning to SRO was not a part of his original law enforcement game plan. Listen to his initial reaction when he found out his new role at the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office.
Oh, I was like, okay, all right, that's different, but okay.
How do you feel about it now?
I love it. I do. I really enjoy working in as an SRO. I think it's given me a lot of insight on why things happen the way they do with individuals who get in trouble when they're younger.
And Deputy Kane is not one to waste knowledge. He puts that understanding to work, strengthening connections with his kids.
His relationship with the students is what, to me, really makes him stand apart. Unfortunately, in today's world, I think SROs sometimes have to basically put their life on the line for the kids and for the staff. And I said this from the beginning, I have no doubt, you know, some of the things that happened at other schools, Uvalde and some other places, that I have no doubt in my mind that Mark Kane, if called upon, he would lay his life down for these kids and for every person on this staff.
I'd say what makes Deputy Kane special is that he builds relationships with the students and the staff, and it's not just all business. And he really, the staff loves him, the kids love him, he's a team player, and just everything about him makes him special to us.
And he loves students. He really does. He cares about these kids, and there's not anything he wouldn't do for them. He has proven that over and over again.
And that would explain why he's become a go-to guy for students with a problem.
My phone rings a lot. I've gotten calls from kids' cars broken down in Destin that couldn't get back from work, things going on at home they didn't know how to fix, or phone calls where, unfortunately, the lights are going to get turned off. What do we do? There's a variety of things that you get, but you handle them case by case, person by person, and you help them out however you can.
I call Mark all the time on the weekends, at night, 5 o'clock in the morning. It's 2,400 kids, and we got stuff going on all the time. And he never fails to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Ms. Sanders, how can I help you? What can I do?"
In his 4 years as an SRO, Deputy Kane has not one, but 2 student life-saving awards under his belt. One involved a suicidal student, the other a teen having cardiac arrest. He and his fellow Crestview High School SRO realized there was a need to help students who wanted to go to prom but didn't have the means. They masterminded a program to help students obtain a prom dress or a suit, amassing more than 300. He's the OCSO's School Resource Officer of the Year for 2022, and that's for shining not just as a protector, but also as a trusted mentor working to steer students towards success.
But Mark is top-notch in his skills to communicate with others, and his preparation and his preparedness, professionalism has just unmatched in my opinion.
I'm not just here to go, you did something wrong. I'm also here to pick you up when you fall down.
And speaking of hometown heroes, we have to tell you that we loved seeing Assistant Communications Director Audrey Adams also recognized as a hometown hero in July as well. Audrey earned the recognition for her outstanding career, and that term is used correctly, as an OCSO telecommunicator, which kicked off back in August of 2000.
Yeah, she spent 20 years on the floor exemplifying the art of telecommunications dispatching. In 2019, after our agency consolidated with public safety, Audrey was promoted to the position of Assistant Director of Communications over the Communications Divisions, where she has excelled as a leader. And she is responsible for the day-to-day operations of the Communications Division, which encompasses over 50 members.
Yes, we consider her a communications rock star.
Yes, we do. All right, here's another list of fugitives we're looking for. First, we're going to start with 47-year-old Justin Rafael Diaz. He's wanted for felony possession of methamphetamines with intent to sell, as well as possession of heroin, last known to live in Destin.
And we don't have a picture available, unfortunately, of Kelvin Paul Michael Wise, but he is 44 years old, a white male, and he's wanted for sexual battery.
Another one that's located since our last show is Markel Antonio Kelson.
We'd like to be able to locate Zachary Ryan Steen because he's wanted for felony aggravated battery with a weapon, and his last known address was on Old Ferry Road in Shalimar.
38-year-old Joseph Lee Fairchild is wanted for violation of probation for aggravated assault.
And this next individual is David Allen Bobbitt, and he is wanted for fraud.
Thomas Edward Allison is wanted for failure to appear for aggravated assault on a person 65 or older, last known to live in Destin.
65-year-old Tobin Dean Collins is wanted for failure to register as a sexual offender. His last known address was Yacht Club Drive in Fort Walton Beach.
Next up is 37-year-old Daniel Robert Turner O'Rourke, who's wanted for felony failure to appear for grand theft and criminal mischief. Last known address was up in Crestview.
And wrapping up this list, Coretta LaDawn James. She's 37 years old. She's wanted for failure to appear for grand theft as well as fraud, and last known to live on Wilson Street in Crestview.
Well, Walton County Sheriff's Office Deputy Connor Gunn made a special presentation to Okaloosa County Sheriff Eric Aden, presenting a special portrait of fallen OCSO Corporal Ray Hamilton by Facebook artist Johnny Castro Art. a Philadelphia Police Department officer who creates artwork of American first responders killed in the line of duty.
You know, Deputy Gunn had reached out to the artist following the death of Corporal Hamilton back on Christmas Eve of 2022, while Corporal Hamilton was serving with the OCSO Special Response Team on a domestic violence-related call. Sheriff Aiden expressed his gratitude, of course, and he says that he's planning to put it up at the OCSO training complex, where Corporal Hamilton spent many hours training with his counterparts to serve the citizens of Okaloosa County. So that was really special to see. Okay, moving on to our next list of fugitives, we've got Kendall James Watkins topping off the list for this round. He's wanted for felony VOP for grand theft, burglary, criminal mischief, and credit card fraud.
And we don't have a photo of Michael Edward Leahy, but he's 37 years old. He's wanted for felony hit and run with injuries, last known to live on Dune Lake Circle in Santa Rosa Beach.
David Richard Abbott's wanted for felony failure to appear for resisting arrest without violence and possession of a controlled substance.
Next up is 26-year-old Brayon Valenzuela Castilla, wanted for failure to appear for lewd behavior on a victim 12 to 14 years old, last known to live on Tyner Street in Fort Walton Beach. The Niceville Police Department is still looking for Michelle Alicia Fortson for felony grand theft and passing forged checks, last known to live in Fort Walton Beach.
Carson Ray Allen's up next, wanted for felony VOP for battery of a law enforcement officer or firefighter, last known to live on Harbor Boulevard in Destin.
And this one's been on the show for a while. That's 36-year-old Blake Elliott Gundred. He's wanted for VOP for grand theft, trafficking in stolen property, and providing false information to a pawnbroker.
And you can contact Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers if you've got any information on the whereabouts of Anjali Rochelle Johnson. Johnson's wanted for aggravated battery. Her last known address was on Mixon Road in Defuniak Springs.
Timothy Ryan McDonald, who was last known to live on Oxford Court in Mariester, he's wanted for felony violation of probation for burglary and theft.
Would love to see someone call in information on Christine Chadwick. She's 59 years old and she's wanted for cruelty to animals and resisting arrest without violence.
24-year-old Aisha Marie Nathan is wanted for failure to appear for vehicle theft, last known to live in Fort Walton Beach.
And Terry James Henniser is wanted for failing to register as a sexual offender. He's a 58-year-old white male.
And we're happy to report this one's been located. He's been on the show for a while. That's Reginald Dwayne Muse.
And wrapping up this list is Christian Travis Pritchard. We don't have a picture available of Pritchard, but he's wanted for felony aggravated battery and false imprisonment.
Well, if you love the idea of combining horses, camaraderie, and community service, then the OCSO Mounted Posse may be just what you need to check all those boxes plus more.
It's a highly visible and very popular symbol of the OCSO Citizen Volunteer Services. The Mounted Posse represents the OCSO in local parades and in community events, as well as being available for area search and rescues if the situation arises where riders on horseback can assist. So they're recruiting. If you're interested, check it out.
Yes.
They have a lot of fun too, actually. It's a great group of people.
Well, the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office Youth Week 2023 always wraps up with Field Day with the help of multiple OCSO departments and multiple local law enforcement, fire department, and military units as well.
SROs, that is, and more than 165 middle school students had the opportunity to build bonds, and they also shared some knowledge, and they had a pretty good time while doing that.
Are you excited? Can I hold her? But right now we've got everybody in one room. You can drive it.
And of course, Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers is always at that event, and what a fun event it is. Those kids are just a blast to be around, and it's just a wonderful event. So many community members come out, and it's just a wonderful event.
And lots of dog-oriented
Yes,
things
of
going
course,
on
we
that,
like
so
that a
we
little bit.
especially love that.
All right, let's get back to our fugitives. Here's our last list, I believe, and it's going to start with Mary Elizabeth Gibson. She's 29. She's wanted for violation of probation for leaving the scene of a crash with injuries, last known to live on Silva Drive in Fort Walton Beach.
And this is Eric Markel Clyburn. He's wanted by the Walton County Sheriff's Office, and the charge is felony failure to appear. His last known address was Santa Rosa Beach.
Contact Crime Stoppers if you know where Felipe Carrera Gonzalez Sr. might be. He's wanted for felony failure to appear for battery as well as non-payment of child support, last known to live on Earl Street in Fort Walton Beach.
Still trying to track down Timothy James Howard for larceny, resisting an officer, and recovery of stolen property and failure to appear. Fraud, last known to live on Bearhead Road in Defuniak Springs.
68-year-old James Lee Burnett, who we don't have a photo of, but he's wanted for felony failure to appear for aggravated battery, last known to live on Hollywood Boulevard in Fort Walton.
And take a look at Chad Alford. Alford's wanted for felony aggravated assault.
And OCSO deputies are looking for George Monroe Emmerich II for violation of probation, for domestic violence, strangulation, and aggravated battery.
And law enforcement would love to find out where Alexis, that is Wilmer Mondragon, is at. He is wanted by the OCSO for sexual battery, sexual offenses against a child, and lewd and lascivious molestation, who was last known to live on Spencer Drive in Fort Walton Beach.
Now next up, check out this great artwork. Nicole Ramirez, a 2023 Choctawhatchee High School graduate, volunteered to paint this incredible mural in the South Court Security Workroom.
The mural, painted by hand, honors those OCSO deputies that gave the ultimate sacrifice. Now, this idea originated with Sergeant Jessica Trimboli. Sergeant Trimboli contacted the art department at Choctaw High School to inquire if they had someone that could paint a mural, and Ramirez, they said without hesitation, volunteered her talents, and I know everybody at the OCSO is certainly glad that she did. What a great job.
Absolutely.